there's been a number of reactions to this. In fact, this is not the first time a Speaker of Parliament is walking out a Member of Parliament, but this is on a different level, in a different situation. A number of the instances we've seen in the past is as a result of the Members of Parliament dressing improperly, as the Speaker deemed it, or as the standing orders prescribed. So you had the former Greek Minister, Dr. Sefwi Wiawso, at some point was asked to leave Parliament because he was not dressed properly. You also had the former Member of Parliament for the Adenta constituency, the Honorable Edua was walked out of Parliament because he was not dressed well. And at some point in 2004, the Amasama Member of Parliament on ticket of the NDC was also asked to leave Parliament because he was not dressed well. He wore T-shirt and trousers to Parliament. That was deemed improper dressing. But then there was that instance involving the Honorable Alhassan Suhini, which I'll come to shortly. But this is what the Member of Parliament, in fact, the Order 35 of Parliament standing orders, the new standing orders of Parliament, does say. And we would understand why what the Speaker did per the standing orders is within context. It's right. It's lawful. Take a look. It says, where in the opinion of the person presiding over the House or a committee, the conduct of a member is grossly disorderly. The emphasis, grossly disorderly. And it must be in the opinion of the person presiding. So whatever you watching us think or otherwise, it may not really matter right now, because in the opinion of the Speaker, it is gross and disorderly. The person presiding may order the Member of Parliament to withdraw from the precincts of Parliament, and that member shall immediately leave the precincts and shall not enter the precincts again during the remainder of the day's sitting. So this order by the Speaker to have the marshals get this Member of Parliament out is just for the end of business today. So tomorrow he can go to Parliament, right? But this is it. So this is the Standing Order 35 that gives the Speaker the power to do what he did. In his opinion, if that conduct, that statement by the Member of Parliament is grossly disorderly, he had every right to do what he has done. But the Majority Chief Whip, Frank Anodompre, later apologized on behalf of the MP and the Majority Caucus in Parliament. Take a look.
What happened a moment ago was unfortunate. And so we want to, on behalf of the entire caucus and my colleague, want to render an unqualified apology to you and your office.
Well, but the Member of Parliament in question, Sefwi Wiawso MP, has been talking. In fact, he spoke on a crowd-based Joy FM earlier this evening, and he said, and let's quote it, he says, if I say it does not lie in your mouth as a speaker, tell me what is wrong with it. What shocked me is that I was speaking what I was thinking, and there was no disrespect, no misconduct on my part. In fact, he gave me permission to speak, which we saw in the video. It says, I bow to the Speaker and the chair, especially the chair that he sits in. It was important that I did that because, you see, where I was raised in the Omahene's palace, when there is a controversy like that, you have to show humility so that you don't leave anything to misrepresentation. So this is Dr. Kwekwe Free earlier this evening on Joy FM. Now, then again, fundamental question. It is within the Speaker's right to do so, or there were emotions at play. Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Rahman, is joining us on Zoom for a conversation on Dr. Rashid Rahman, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. You've seen this video. You've seen how things played out in Parliament. The Speaker flexing his muscle necessarily, or you would side with those who say this could have been handled differently?
Yes, Alfred, thank you very much for having me. I characterize this as a day of extremes. Definitely there were emotions at play, both perhaps on the part of the Right Honourable Speaker and on the part of the Honourable Member. But I think But let's begin with what the rules say, as you rightly quoted the rules. You know, apart from Order 35, I think we also have, I mean, if you go further and read the standing orders, Order 129 also has some kind of elements about, you know, order in the House. And then you go further to Order 131 of the standing orders. I mean, that is even where the Speaker has the right to issue a warrant of arrest. I think most people don't know this. I mean, so these are just the kind of powers that the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament has. Over the years, I think Speaker after Speaker have resisted this temptation, you know, to want to exercise, I mean, these powers, I mean, in the extreme form that they have been, you know, couched, if I could put it that way. But today we saw that at play. I think maybe if I was reading the Right Honorable Speaker, perhaps he would have been in a position where maybe he would have been saying to himself, "I've had enough of this." You know, I listened to the honorable member, and I heard you quote him in what he said on Joy FM. What is intriguing, Alfred, is the fact that he had mentioned that in the palace in which he was raised, you know, you show respect and so on and so forth. I believe that most of his colleagues and most of us who are watching would have thought that even if he disagreed with the Speaker, I mean, those words, I believe, were extreme. You know, to say that it doesn't lie in your mouth. I mean, that could have been said in a different way. I mean, if you disagree with the Speaker who is sitting in the chair, you respect the chair, and so on, I mean, you have the freedom to speak. But I think the way language is used sometimes can send a message.
Yeah.
And digging further, maybe, you know, if you listen to the honorable member, he has granted so many interviews today. In one of the interviews, I heard him say, you know, this Speaker has, I mean, the kind of penchant to want to get involved in parliamentary business as if he's an MP and so on. And he cited the instance of the LGBTQ and so on. So it looks as if the member was already waiting for an opportunity
like this.
Yes, indeed. And maybe the Speaker might also be aware, because the journalist on City FM asked him whether he has had any brush with the Speaker in the past, and so on and so forth. But when you listen to what he said, I mean, you are only left with the conclusion that, you know, he already was waiting for an opportunity, maybe to make his views known to the Right Honorable Speaker.
So per your analysis, it is the statement from the Member of Parliament. It is that statement that got the reaction from the Speaker, eventually asking the marshals to get him out.
Yes, indeed. I think that maybe if, I mean, I'm just guessing, if he would have used different language in this instance, I mean, not to say, because when somebody says it doesn't lie in your mouth, Alfred, I mean, for me and for most people who were listening, I believe the conclusion they came to was this was almost like, you know, showing very little regard to that office and to that chair. And no wonder we saw some of the leaders from his caucus quickly apologizing on his behalf. But again, I think in the media, he said that they didn't have his permission to render that apology. So for somebody who said, I bowed to show respect and I left, if, I mean, you don't eat humble pie yourself and your colleagues do so on your behalf, I think we should let sleeping dogs lie, and this matter should be resolved, I mean, in a way, particularly also, Alfred, this is one of the, I think he's one of the senior most members of the House.
Absolutely. In fact,
recently when
former health
vacancy
minister in the Kufuor administration at some point, and the former environment, science, technology, innovation minister. I mean, he's been there for quite a while.
And I believe recently when there was a vacancy, when all the speakers were not there, I think he was the one who was, I mean, my memories, if they serve me right, he was the one who was nominated to represent or to occupy that chair. I don't know whether he's the one or I'm mixing him up with another member. But I mean, from a senior person in the House, you know, it's almost equating it to, for instance, Alfred, when you go to a cabinet meeting and our Excellency, His Excellency the President is presiding, and then somebody disagrees with him. I don't think that this would have been the way to put it.
I see.
Because look, let's face it, Alfred. I mean, in most parliaments where speakers are members of parliament, they are primus inter pares, so first among equals. And that is where sometimes there's a lot of difficulty, because some members will say, you are one of us. I mean, we are all members of parliament. But in this instance, in our case, we have a different practice altogether. The speaker is not a member of parliament. And I think that is for a lot of good reason. And so, in many ways, I think there is a need to, at all times, to show respect for the chair, I mean, right. And for the office, even if we disagree with that person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Rashid Ron, and